Hello and good morning, good Monday morning, and welcome to this, your weekly reading. For those of you who are returning, you may notice that my background has changed yet again. I am coming to you from Medicine Hat, Alberta, and this is my cousin's man cave. It's one of the more quiet places on the farm. However, it is a little bit chilly in here, so you might notice me rubbing my fingers together and trying to stay warm. All right, for those of you who are returning, please feel free to use the timestamps down below and go on to the meditation section. And for those of you who are new here, a very warm welcome. Just a quick thing for those of you who are new here. How this works is each Monday I come on and I record a video where I ask you to go into a very light meditative state for approximately 2 to 3 minutes. And at the end of that light meditation, I present 3 rocks, gems, or trinkets. And I ask you to intuitively decide which rock, gem, or trinket you are drawn towards. The rocks, gems, or trinkets are previously assigned to one of my either tarot or oracle card decks. And then I do 3 separate readings. And from those 3 separate readings, I pull a card that would be the dominant energy influencing you this week. And I also have a look at a card that would be the shadow energy for this week, an energy that perhaps you're not aware of, something that's just kind of bubbling and brewing below the surface that you may want to be aware of. Sometimes what can be bubbling or brewing below the surface is things like impatience or, where, you're maybe not always an impatient person, and yet the cards indicate that that might be brewing below the surface for you. And once you're aware of that, then you can adjust your behavior accordingly. Okay, so let's get started with the meditation. I'd like you to just find a place where you can relax for about 5 minutes. Make yourself comfortable. You may choose to sit or you may choose to lie down. You may choose to have your feet flat on the floor, or you may choose to tuck them up underneath you and keep them nice and warm under your legs. Whatever feels most comfortable for you, make yourself comfortable now. And as you are adjusting yourself and making yourself more comfortable, begin to pay attention to your breath. Our breath is one of the easiest ways for us to begin to relax. Most of us breathe unconsciously all day, every day. But when we become conscious of our breath, the breathing in, the rise of our chest as we breathe in, breathing out as the warm air exits our nose and our mouth from our lungs. When we become conscious of our breath, we become more aware of everything around us. We become more aware of the sounds around us, perhaps the ticking of an old clock that we have in our home, perhaps the rumble of a truck going by in the distance. For those who are out in the country, perhaps one of the animals is rustling and you can hear it. Notice these sounds that you perhaps were not even aware of before you started this meditation. You see, meditation isn't always about completely clearing your mind. Meditation is about paying attention and getting in touch with not only ourselves, but the environment that surrounds us. So continue to concentrate on your breath and concentrate on the sounds around you. We're going to do this for approximately 30 more seconds. Meditation doesn't have to be about taking a lot of time out of your day. It just has to be about taking a few moments to tap back into your awareness. Continue to listen to my voice. Continue to pay attention to your breath. And without judgment, just pay attention to the sounds. Yes, there's another sound that you perhaps were not aware of just a moment ago. No need for judgment, it's just there. And is there anything else that you hear? One more sound. Pay attention. Doesn't require any analytics. You just notice the sound is there. And now, from this place of awareness, whether you've had your eyes open or closed, please open your eyes. And I'm going to present you with this week's trinkets. All right, so from this very relaxed, very aware state, the first trinket this week is a pendulum made from crystal. And the pendulum has a stone for each of the chakras coming down its chain. If you are drawn intuitively towards this pendulum, I'll be pulling cards for you from deck number 1. Next, we have yet another pendulum. This time, it's a blue pendant on a chain. So if you are intuitively drawn towards this blue pendant, I'll be pulling cards for you from deck number 2. And finally, the final rock gem or trinket this week is my little Orgonite. It's getting quite yellow. I think that it's absorbed a lot of energies over the years. Perhaps it's time to make a new one. But despite the yellowing and the aging, if you are drawn towards this Orgonite, I will be pulling cards for you from deck number 3. Please make your choice now between the crystal pendulum, the blue pendulum, or the Orgonite. And you can check the timestamps down below if you would like to jump forward. Okay. For those of you who selected this pendulum with these chakra stones, I will be pulling cards for you from the traditional tarot using my old cheater deck. I don't know why, I just keep going back to this deck. I love it. All right. Dominant energies for those who selected the pendulum. The crystal pendulum. What dominant energies are influencing this week? Okay, so we want to get well mixed. We want to change directions. Okay. Dominant energies. Ooh, we almost had a whole bunch come out. I'm just gonna go back. There we go. All right. Is there anything else this week? Dominant energies. For those who selected the crystal pendulum, is there anything else? Okay. All right. What do we have going on this week for you? Okay, we have 2 cards that have come out. Both of the cards have come out in their reversed position. We have the 10 of Wands in reversed, and we have the 8 of Swords in reversed. The first card that is actually on top is the 8 of Swords. This is a card that warns that if something is already not quite going the way that you had anticipated, there's a good possibility this week that it may continue down that bumpy road, that things are not looking like they're going to turn around yet. And so what this card is asking you to do this week is go into preparation mode. Go into that mode of making sure that you are both mentally and psychologically prepared to continue down a bumpy road. Now, this doesn't mean it's forever, but it means that as this reading is for this 1 week period, and I think I'm going to pull a clarifier for this because you've got two cards where both of them are in reverse. Both of them have a meaning that indicates that you're kind of in for a bumpy ride this week. Now, that's not unexpected at this time. There is a lot going on in the world, including financial upheaval for many, many people. There are job losses happening, but on a bigger global scale, we also have some things happening with our sun. For example, the sun is coming into sunspot maximum. It's releasing CMEs, coronal mass ejections, and this is also affecting our health. The Earth was hit by a CME last night. We're anticipating an additional CME coming our way for tomorrow night, for Tuesday night. And this can affect our health. This can make us feel a little bit more heavy. For people who suffer with headaches or migraines, they are affected by what's happening with the sun. So what this is telling me is that for you guys who selected the pendulum this week, there are some more bumpy days ahead. Things are not going to turn around just yet. The 10 of Wands in reverse indicates that you may be a little bit burdened by something. Now, there are certain cards in the deck that indicate that we are burdened by things that we have brought on ourselves. But the 10 of Wands in reverse indicates that the burdens that we're currently carrying through this week are burdens that we didn't bring on ourselves. It's more of a universal or more of a global thing. And so we're kind of being caught up by the collective this week. Let me just pull some clarifier cards. Let's clarify the Eight of Swords first. Eight of Swords. Can we please clarify the Eight of Swords? Okay. All right, and let's clarify the 10 of Wands. I might have to go through this deck again, but let's clarify the 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands in reverse. Please clarify it. Yeah, okay, so we're going to go back through the deck. Let's clarify the 10 of Wands in reverse. Clarify the 10 of Wands in reverse. Okay, so we have a clarifier. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this Eight of Swords in reverse, which is indicating that perhaps things are not quite going your way, that you're already traveling a road with some speed bumps on it, and it's making you a little bit uncomfortable. It's clarified by the Four of Rainbows, also known as the Four of Pentacles in this particular deck, which is the miser. And so what this is telling me is that what's coming up for you guys this week is a bumpy road when it comes to your finances. Be very, very careful with your finances this week. Make sure that you don't have more going out than what you have coming in. Perhaps forgo luxuries this week. If you were going to go get your hair cut, yeah, why don't you put that money in savings? Now, I'm not a financial advisor by any means. The advice that I'm giving here is definitely 100% general in nature, but going and having a $60 or $70 haircut versus being able to put gas or diesel in your vehicle to be able to get to work this week, you have to really, really explore your priorities this week. That is what's coming up for me with these two cards here. Okay. The miser is about saving and about budgeting. And that is the card that came up to clarify this Eight of Swords in reverse. And so really, and as I mentioned at the beginning, the Eight of Swords is also about preparing for potential emergencies, right? Making sure that you're prepared financially as well is what's coming up here with this Four of Pentacles coming in. Okay. So again, this week, make sure that you're really paying attention to your nickels and dimes and saving. You know, if you can forego your haircut this week, do so. If you can forego your manicure this week, do so, because the cards are indicating that you're going to need that money for something else. The 10 of Wands, which is a card of indicating that you're feeling like you're overburdened, you're feeling kind of heavy, is clarified by the 9 of Swords, which is a card of sorrow. Now, the 9 of Swords is also a card of, it's kind of a card that corresponds to the Hermit, but the Hermit is in the major arcana, and the major arcana kind of yell at you. This is more of a speaking to you. And so this card is speaking to you and asking you to go into this place of monk, go into this place of withdrawal, and really, really explore what's important to you, because what's coming up between all of these cards, for me anyway, is indicating that perhaps your priorities have been a little bit mixed up right now. And when we put stuff ahead of what's really important, which is really the people that we have in our lives, then our life can go a little bit sideways. So intuitively, I mean, that's not in the cards, but intuitively what's coming in as a download is that these cards are coming up as a result of misplaced priorities. And when those priorities get reassigned, all of a sudden, beautiful things are going to come out of it. But I'm just going to go back to these examples. If you are putting, first of all, the money out for a manicure or pedicure, a facial, a massage, any of these things, if you're putting the money out as well as the time out, rather than spending time with, I don't know, someone who really needs you right now, that's misplaced priorities, and the universe is sending you a message and saying, you need to make some changes and some adjustments. Let's have a look at your shadow energy this week. Right. Your shadow energy this week is the 7 of Swords. So it is the card that is on the bottom of the deck. And the 7 of Swords indicates that something might be going on behind your back. If you look at this card, and I'm not sure if that's going to focus or not. Let's see. There we go. So look at the picture on this card. It's like the character on the card has picked up some of the 7 swords, and he's trying to walk away with them secretively. This is an indication that something is going on behind the scenes, behind your back, and you need to be aware of it. This is your shadow energy this week. So when these cards are indicating, these first few cards are indicating that misplaced priorities, and perhaps the priority you've been putting on is not in alignment with who you are. And so other things are going on behind the scenes that you need to be aware of. So I'm going to leave off your reading this week. Unfortunately, it was not one of those happy-go-lucky, really, sunshine and rainbow readings, but I don't believe in sugarcoating when the cards come out this way. Because when the cards come out this way, they are coming out with a very intentional message that changes need to begin to happen. or more of these cards will continue to come out and more of this will continue to happen. Okay. All right, moving on, we are going to go into those of you who selected the blue pendant. I'm going to be pulling cards for you from the Fairy Tarot this week. Dominant energies for those who chose the blue pendant. Is there anything else for the dominant energies for those who chose the blue pendant? Oh, it's a little messy. Is there anything else? Stack those cards again because they're getting hard to deal with. Oh, we got a couple more cards that came out. Princess of Winter, Princess of Swords has come out. That's the final card. Okay. So the first card that came out was the Queen of Spring, Queen of Wands. This is a card encouraging you to believe in yourself. Hopefully I'm getting not too much of a reflection. Let's kind of tip the card here. This is a card of believe in yourself. This is a power card. This is a card of remembering who you are rather than who society told you you should be. This is a card of doing things with sort of that soft feminine energy, while at the same time knowing that you are very powerful. Okay. So when we look at queens in history, the queens in history have a tendency to rule in a very different way from the kings in history. And the queens have a tendency to rule in a very strict fashion, while at the same time being rather diplomatic. And so this is what you're being asked to do this week, is be diplomatic in whatever it is that you do, but recognize that you are very powerful and you hold a powerful position. The next card in your reading is the Magician. I love it when this card comes out. This is the first card in the Major Arcana. So the very first card in the Major Arcana is the Fool, and it's numbered 0. This is card number 1. The Magician reminds us that we are capable of doing anything, that we are far more powerful than we ever imagined. And we're far more powerful than what society has told us to believe. Okay. Both of these cards are cards of believe in yourself. You have the 3 of Autumn, also known as the 3 of Pentacles, coming out as well. Pentacles are always about job, career, and money. And this is telling me to tell you to follow your passion when it comes to your career. So far, all pretty positive, right? You also have the Princess of Winter that's coming out, also known as the Page of Swords in the traditional tarot. This is a card of making sure that you are being open and honest, and ensuring that those that are around you are being open and honest. And the message behind this card is sometimes the truth hurts, but the truth is necessary. Okay. Reading all 4 of these cards in sequence. What is my camera doing? Hello, camera. Could you focus? Well, that was fun. Okay. Reading all 4 of these cards in sequence. You have the Queen of Spring, also known as the Queen of Wands, reminding you about how powerful you are and to believe in yourself. The Magician has a very, very similar message, reminding you of the magic that you are capable of creating in your own life. And don't allow society and societal beliefs to take any of that away from you this week. You have the Three of Autumn, also known as the Three of Pentacles, coming in here, that is telling me that most of what's going on here with these two cards, with the Queen and with the Magician, pertains to your job or your career, and that you should be really passionate about what it is that you do this week. But you also need to be open and honest this week. Okay. The truth can hurt sometimes, but you need to be open and honest. And the possibility exists that at some point this week, instead of it being all about you being open and honest, the possibility exists that this card could also bring you information that may not necessarily be welcomed in the moment. It may be news or information that you're going, I really didn't want to know that. But ultimately, you need to know that information. Just a moment. I just need to pause this. Okay, so being that I am in someone else's man cave, he is emergency on call. So there's radios in here that go off. So I do apologize. I may have to pause again. But as I have always said, my videos will always be authentic and my videos will not be edited. So what you see is what you get. Okay. So what I was saying is, with this Princess of Winter, sometimes it's not always about you speaking the truth, regardless of the fact that the truth hurts sometimes. But if you're being called upon to be open and honest, the same is true for those who are around you, which means that those who are around you may also be open and honest and provide you with some information that may be at first glance unwelcome because it's uncomfortable. But ultimately, hey, the truth matters. Let's have a look at the bottom card here. I'm going to look at the bottom card here. And this is your shadow energy this week. The shadow energy this week, is another Queen. So you have the Queen of Wands, which was the very first card that came out in your reading. And now you have the Queen of Summer, also known as the Queen of Cups, coming out. And the Queen of Summer is all about listening to your heart. It's about being intuitive. And the Queen of Summer is also about your relationships and making sure that you are intuitively into what's happening in your relationships. Okay. What this is telling me, with this Princess of Winter coming out and the Queen of Summer coming out as a shadow, is that in your relationships right now, there's something going on below the surface. There's something bubbling or brewing below the surface that you perhaps were not aware of. It could be as simple as, I don't know, the way you brush your teeth is annoying your partner. Well, that's a pretty simple solution. Close the door when you're brushing your teeth, right? I mean, it could be something that simple, or it could be, hey, you were talking behind somebody's back and they found out. I'm not sure exactly what it is that's coming up, but there's definitely that air of somebody didn't want to tell you something for a long time. And when it finally does come out, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, right? So the Queen of Summer, also known as the Queen of Cups, would normally be a very positive card with regards to relationships. But this is coming out in your shadow position this week, which is an indication that you're perhaps not listening to the subtleties that are around you, because the Queen of Cups is about intuition. It's about listening to the unheard. And so this is an indication that you might not be listening to what's really, really subtle. So is that a bad thing? No, but you're being called upon by watching this video and paying attention to this. You're being called upon to actually pay attention to this. It's a shadow. It's something that is bubbling below the surface that you need to be made aware of. And what you need to be made aware of right now is, in the relationships that you have, your existing relationships, pay attention to that which is very subtle. All right. moving along. Let's move into the reading for those of you who selected this Orgonite, my old yellowed Orgonite. I'll be pulling cards for you from the Angels and Ancestors deck. Dominant energies for those who selected the Orgonite this week. Is there anything else? Anything else? No. Okay. Those of you who selected the Orgonite, I'm actually going to encourage you guys to potentially watch the very end of the last segment for those people who had selected the blue pendant, because in their shadow, they had a card of potentially not listening to their intuitive messages. And in your dominant energies this week, those of you who selected this Orgonite have the message of the moon. Take note of intuitive messages. You also have connect with your emotions. What these two cards are telling me this week is that there's this desire on your part, conscious or unconscious, to ignore what is subtle and what's going on behind the scenes and what's not being spoken, right? You're having this desire to just go, I don't want to deal with it. I'm going to sweep that under the rug. So the moon also talks about phases, right? Because the moon has her phases going from full to new. And the moon right now is in a waning phase. In fact, it was just 2-3 days ago. We had a full lunar eclipse, and now the moon is in her waning phase. And when the moon is in her waning phase and we are being encouraged to pay attention to intuitive messages, message overall is that we're not paying attention to our intuition when we need to be. The other thing is that with the moon in her waning phase and you getting these two cards is an indication that you're wanting to sweep things under the carpet and make them disappear. The same way that the moon is disappearing, you're wanting to make a situation in your life disappear right now. Now, normally I would not read these two cards this way, but intuitively, psychically, this is what I'm picking up for those of you that selected the Orgonite this week. There is something going on that you're wanting to ignore. You're wanting to sweep it under the carpet. You're wanting to not deal with things head on. There's a bird. Which bird is it? You can put a comment down below because I'm having a brain fart right now. But there's a bird, and when it gets frightened, it sticks its head in the sand. The rest of its body is still sticking out. You can still see the rest of it. But it thinks it's hiding because it sticks its head in the sand. And that's the image and the message that I've got coming up for you guys this week. So, you're meant to hear this, and you're meant to hear, hey, pay attention to what's going on in your intuition. I'm being told to say this as well. Pay attention if any of you are finding dimes. I don't know why that's coming up right now, but those who have crossed over are spirit guides, the messengers from the other side, including loved ones who've crossed over, will often leave dimes for us. The reason that they leave dimes is because dimes are very, very light as far as currency goes. And I mean, we could tell them to leave $100 bills, but I'm not sure that they would. But the dimes are kind of an unusual thing to find around in unusual places. And I don't know why, but I'm being encouraged to tell you guys this week. Watch for dimes. And if you find a dime, or if you find I don't, why is that coming up? If you find an earring if you wear earrings and you have an earring that went missing months ago and you find it this week, that is your reinforcement to pay attention to intuitive messages. There's something really, really important that is trying to be communicated to you right now. But it's going to require you to pay attention. And not just to the intuitive messages, but it's also going to require you to pay attention to your emotions. So when you find the dime or find the earring, or if something, an unusual animal crosses your path this week, check into your emotions. What were you doing in that moment? How were you feeling in that moment? Combine the intuition and the emotions right now. Because when you do that, it becomes more powerful. Let's have a look at your shadow. The shadow will be the bottom card. I am laughing. I love these cards. All right. So for some of you who have lasted this long through the reading, you're looking at me and you're going, oh my God, she's so airy-fairy. She's so freaking out there. She's telling me that I'm going to find dimes from my dearly departed loved ones around, or find an earring that I lost ages ago. She's telling me to pay attention to the unseen. Your shadow this week is trust in the unknown. I can't make this stuff up, guys. What's this telling me? It's telling me you don't want to pay attention to this. You're ignoring your intuition. You're ignoring your emotions. Your shadow is Father Sky. Father Sky's message is trust in the unknown. I can't say it any more clearly. I think the cards are really, really speaking for themselves this week for you guys. Trust in the unknown, because it is trying to give you a message. All right. With that, I'm going to leave off. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful and wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday.